In 3, 2, 1.
7 things you probably didn't know you need to know. I'm Jamie East, and this is the Smart 7.
Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday the 14th of June, and it's World Blood Donor Day. And a big happy birthday to Boy George, Steffi Graf, Donald Trump and Alan Carr. The government's scheme to send asylum seekers to Rwanda for processing won a court case on Monday, which will see the first deportation flight go ahead on Tuesday evening. The decision by the appeal court ruled that the original judge was correct to decide that it's in the public interest for the government to carry out its policies despite objections from campaigners and the union, which represents some border force staff.
He reached a conclusion which he was reasonably entitled to reach on the material before him. This court cannot therefore interfere with that conclusion. For the reasons we have given, this appeal is dismissed.
The decision was greeted by protests outside the court, including from former Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn.
This is a human rights issue, it's a humanitarian issue, and it is an utter disgrace.
The flight, which was due to have over 100 people, is now only expected to have at the most 8, and may in fact be cancelled after a series of legal challenges from those due to be deported. However, Prime Minister Boris Johnson continues to defend the policy.
What we're trying to do is stop the business model of criminal gangs who are preying on people, moving them across the channel in unseaworthy vessels, risking their lives and sometimes costing their lives.
The government finally moved to introduce new legislation on Monday which will overrule parts of the Northern Ireland Protocol. Foreign Secretary Liz Truss says the new bill, which will now allow it to ignore parts of the Brexit deal it agreed in 2019, does not in fact break international law.
We're doing this in a way that protects the EU single market, that makes sure they receive information about what goods are crossing the Irish Sea. So we are maintaining the core principles of what we're doing, and we are acting within international law.
The legislation's been greeted with disappointment by Irish Taoiseach Micheál Martin.
It's very regrettable, and for a country like the United Kingdom to renege on an international treaty is something that I think does represent a new low point.
There was also criticism from the Labour Party, in Northern Ireland from Sinn Féin, and from the European Commission, who said they viewed the plan with significant concern. The legislation depends on what it calls the doctrine of necessity, and Boris Johnson continues to claim that the protocol, which he agreed to and signed off on, is causing real issues in Northern Ireland.
We've got a problem at the moment, which is that in Northern Ireland, the Stormont Assembly, the government of Northern Ireland, can't meet because of the effects of the protocol. What it does is it creates unnecessary barriers on trade east-west.
The second of the US congressional hearings into the events of January the 6th took place on Monday. This time, the focus was on those who surrounded Donald Trump during and after Election Day. The committee laid out in detail that there could have been no doubt that the election was not in fact stolen, and that Trump began claiming election fraud in part on the advice of a drunken Rudy Giuliani. Democratic Congressman Jamie Raskin says the case is pretty clear.
A drunken Rudy Giuliani was certainly being a yes man, but the people that any other president would have relied on, such as his campaign manager, the Attorney General of the United States, the lawyers for his campaign, were all telling him the same thing. It was over. He had lost the election.
And in an indicator of what may follow, as the committee appears to build a case against Donald, Representative Zoe Lofgren said that the fundraising that went on to fight this election fraud is also highly suspect.
Throughout the committee's investigation, we found evidence that the Trump campaign and its surrogates misled donors as to where their funds would go and what they would be used for. So not only was there the big lie, there was the big ripoff.
The Russian war in Ukraine continued on Monday with intense battles around the city of Severodonetsk. Ukraine claims to still control a portion of the city, but it appears that Russian troops have now destroyed all 3 bridges in and out, which mean that it's impossible for deliveries of food or evacuation of civilians to continue. Ukrainian President Zelensky says his defenders continue to impose huge losses on Russia and renewed his call for more heavy weapons to help lift the Russian artillery barrages.
Russian generals see their people as the cannon fodder they need to gain an advantage in numbers, in manpower, in military, in equipment. And this means only one thing. Russia can cross the line of losing 40,000 troops by June.
Still to come on the Smart 7, new signing for Man City. Amber Heard talks about the trial, and Kylie goes back to Neighbours. Right after this. Welcome back.
Premier League champions Man City aren't sitting around this summer. They've been busy with their shopping list, and Monday saw new boy Erling Halland officially signed for the club. He joins from Borussia Dortmund 22 years to the day after his father Alfie Halland signed for City. Alfie was famously injured by an angry Roy Keane challenge back in 2001. Erling is delighted to be signing for City.
I was born in England. I've been a City fan my whole life. I know a lot about the club, and I think in the end I feel a bit home here.
Following the 6-week libel trial in Virginia, Johnny Depp's been busy in the UK, out drinking in Newcastle, performing with Jeff Beck, and announcing they're doing an album together. His ex-wife Amber Heard has been pretty quiet though, until now. She's about to break her silence about the libel lawsuit with NBC's Today Show. She's chatting on Tuesday and Wednesday about the trial and why she feels lost.
Even if you think that I'm lying, you still couldn't look me in the eye and tell me that you think on social media there's been a fair representation. You cannot tell me that you think that this has been fair.
She first rose to fame as Charlene back in the 1980s on Australian soap Neighbours, but now she's a bit better known as Kylie Minogue. And after a 37-year run, the high-quality Australian soap opera is finally wrapping up. Kylie and a few other successful graduates, including Guy Pearce, went back for a final reunion.
It was emotional going back to the set and felt beautiful, actually. The fact that we could see each other. I haven't seen these people in, some of them, for over 30 years.
This has been The Smart 7. Wherever you're listening, do us a favour and hit the follow button. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Have a great day.
Written, produced and published by Daft